Good morning, everyone. Today we're celebrating within the octave of St. Michael and All Angels. And this is our church, St. Michael and All Angels. So this is our patron saint day, very special for us and special for everyone around the world who shares the same connection. A study and thinking about and learning about interacting with the angels, I think, is one of the most pressing things that we should seriously consider, that we should actively engage in. And I encourage you all to think about this concept and from your own side, think about what it means to you as you go through all the challenges of life in the 21st century. For some people, angels are a reality. For some people, they openly welcome them, welcome their presence. For some people with special sensitivity, they can view them in some way, but not for everyone. For a lot of us, we've got to develop our own sensitivity and learn to work in our own way with the angels that surround us. Particularly today when we think of Archangel Michael, the chief of the archangels, the most powerful of the archangels in our particular tradition. There is great strength to be drawn from welcoming this particular entity into our lives. Let's think about just a few ideas this morning, and then I really encourage you to take this into your hearts and minds going forward. Whatever your life is like, whatever your occupations are, whatever your life's distractions are, these forces for good, we call angels, are around us at all times. The collect reads, Almighty and everlasting God, with all our hearts we praise thee for thy great glory, and thy most holy Archangel Michael, and all thy holy angels. This reminds us what is actually the primary goal of the angels, archangels, and all the different classifications of angels. That is, to serve God and to facilitate God's will throughout the universe. So the angels are the builders of our universe. The angels are the builders of things that happen in our life. We are, as human beings, unambiguously co-creators with God. Some of you might think that's a very bold statement. If you ask people when they're going about their lives, you say, have you created anything today? It might be a funny way to ask people that question. If you're baking a cake, you've created a cake. If you've done anything, you've created it. The question is, in this context, what was your motive for doing that? What was your intent when you started that? We're all co-creators, even if we think about it or not. But what the teachings of the church going right all the way back are, in order to be an effective and sustainable creator, co-creator with God, first get into alignment. But then we have the opportunity to recall on this day, every day, of course, but on this day in particular, what the angels can do in assisting us. Let me give you a couple of just quick examples. Arithmetic or mathematics is sometimes thought about as maybe a bit too complicated to engage with, but actually we engage with arithmetic or mathematics all the time. When we're at school, we learn about this thing called area, and we might wonder, why are we bothering to learn multiply that length side by that length? What's that got to do with anything? And pretty soon we find out in life we want to know the area of lots of things. We want to know the area of a football field. We want to know how big our properties are. We want to know the size of our shoes and how we stand on the earth. All those things. So a concept in mathematics turns out to be useful. Mathematics can get very complicated. Mathematics can take us into realms which are difficult to bring a tangible example, like working out the land area of your property. But it's the same mathematics. It's the same rules. Some of them are just hard to bring down into the physical world. When that happens, when we have ideas like that, when we encounter concepts that are difficult, this is the time to pause and humbly ask for inspiration. It's the angels that facilitate this transfer of knowledge. It's the angels who work with us as co-creators that facilitate opening our awareness. And opening our awareness in a way that, first of all, we get given a little taste, a little glimmer of a concept. Our hearts are lifted. We see just a little bit more clearly. And then gradually we work that concept into our lives. Our observation of life is broadened. Our experience of life is softened. Our transactions with people takes on a different dimension. That process of just stopping before a difficult concept and wondering, how can I take this on board, and asking for help, is a process of just being a little humble. In the epistle and the gospel that was read this morning, particularly the gospel, there was a passage about Jesus talking about little children, and he took a child and put this child in front of everybody. Here's these big adults, busy big adults, busy running around and doing things. These children get in the way very often. And Jesus is saying, everybody stop, everybody pause. How many of you have got the strength? How many of you have got the inner resolve to say, actually, I don't understand everything that's going on. Actually, I would like to. Actually, I would like to be more in line with God's will. And I'm just going to eat humble pie, as we say, or as it's recorded in the gospel, the humbleness of the child. Not childish, childlike. The childlike humbleness of open. What is that, Daddy? What is that, Mummy? And the adult explains. A lot of us have had that experience of suddenly being aware that there's a human being in front of us who doesn't share our perceptions. We try and share some of those perceptions identically. For difficult concepts, difficult circumstances, the angels are there to do exactly the same thing. And they have infinite capacity compared to our limit of our conscious thought. They are limitless in their power of positive influence. Some people worry about all sorts of technology that comes into the world. Some people particularly worry about atomic energy, atomic power that comes into the world. For people who study these things, they become aware of the enormous power in this thing called the atom, that we're not too sure exactly sort of what it looks like. We sort of understand some stuff, and we've got some mathematics that give us tools. The mathematics don't actually tell us what an atom is. The mathematics give us tools. The ancient wisdom would teach us that this knowledge is now available to us because the angels and God's will thinks that we now can deal with it. But in one of the prayers that we said this morning, at the end of the prayer was a strong reminder of everyone who's working in this area, that That's all of us. Whatever you're doing, you are doing it for the benefit of everyone. You are doing it for the benefit of mankind. If we are co-creators with God, as we are, we must be at the same level of stewardship as the angels, and we must draw inspiration from the angels at their level of stewardship. If we're given a special insight, which is difficult, like atomic power, with so many things to learn about it, we must say, we now must adopt the stewardship for the whole planet. We must look for inspiration for these difficult technological ideas and bring them into alignment that will serve everyone. St. Michael is one of the most powerful archangels, and he responds and works with us whenever we ask, instantaneously. Don't be put off by the fearsome pictures you might see of what Archangel Michael gets up to. He's just working on our behalf, just reminders of what he can do. Not only does he have limitless power at his command. Why? Because he has God standing behind him, and he has God's power to distribute. It's not his, it's God's power, which is limitless. Not only does he have that, but he has the perception and the humbleness of a very small child, because he never forgets who he's working for, why he's doing what he's doing. I'm just using the he in the sense, because that's what our limited consciousness sort of makes it easier to explain. So I encourage you to think on these things. I encourage you to rejoice that we've got these entities like angels and archangels and all the other orders of angels that we'll talk about and sing about later in the Eucharist. Practice your sensitivity. Practice reaching out. Be still for a moment and just feel what that feels like. Get a little touch of the numinous. And then we can all become much more effective and active stewards on the planet.